Now on the sidewalk, ooh, Sunday morning, lies a body just oozing life. Eek! And someone sneaking round the corner. Could that someone be Mac the Knife or someone else with a British accent? Stars. It is unknown whether Thomas Kingston or his family had a, let's call it, business or financial relationship with Russia, with Vladimir Putin. Prince Michael, that's Thomas Kingston's father-in-law, has been scrutinized for financial assistance given to him by exiled Russian oligarch Boris Berezovsky through offshore companies, with a reported total of £320,000 in payments over the period 2002 to 2008. 2008, of course, was the year of the American economic collapse and the election of Barack Obama as president. In an interview with the Sunday Times, Berezovsky stated, "There is nothing underhand or improper about the financial assistance I have given Prince Michael. It is a matter between friends." In May 2021, reports were published stating that Michael was selling access to Vladimir Putin's political representatives. Footage from a Zoom call was released of Michael alongside Simon Isaacs, 4th Marquess of Reading, interacting with undercover reporters, posing as business executives seeking to make contacts with the Kremlin. In the video, he assured the men that his close ties with the country would be of benefit and that he could introduce them to high-ranking figures within the Russian government in exchange for money. Think about it. The American NRA. Think about it. The Trump Organization and those loans. Think about it. Any number of Western elected officials having some kind of financial sweetheart and free trips over there to Russia. Jill Stein. In the video, he assured the men that his close ties with the country would be of benefit and that he could introduce them to high-ranking figures within the Russian government in exchange for money. The call took place the day after the European Union imposed sanctions on the Kremlin. Michael was being offered £143,000 for a proposal and £36,000 a month by the faux businessmen. Oh, they love a fake businessman and a faux chic over there. The toxic British media, when they're not set after Meghan and Harry, oh, they eat their own. Sometimes even the young. Michael was being offered this money by the faux businessman, which he expressed satisfaction with, right? Did he say, berries and cream, berries and cream, I'm going to buy some berries and cream with rubles? The Marquess claimed that Michael was the Queen's unofficial ambassador to Russia and had direct access to Putin. Now, in the United States, it was Paul Manafort, wasn't it, who was the unofficial ambassador to Putin and Russia. And now, 7 phone calls, Donald Trump, according to the press, sending over the precious COVID tests to his boy Putin, staying on the phone, right? Pillow talking with Putin. For what? You're not the president. And Prince Michael of Kent, guess what? You're not the prime minister and you're not the king. So what you doing? And did it have any impact upon the well-being of your son-in-law? Question mark. Right? Any of this is alleged, right? Any of it could have been made up, a distraction. We've seen that before from the toxic British media. But what's clear is that Thomas Kingston didn't do this to himself. I don't care what kind of medication he was on. If it was psoriasis cream, hemorrhoid cream, or any kind of prescription, it did not allow him to dent his own skull to the point of unaliving. The language used in the coroner's report makes that very clear. Nowhere do they say that he was pew-pewed. Nowhere do they say that he was unalived by his own hand. They used very slippery language to make it sound like that's what they were saying, though, right? And by they, I mean the press. And perhaps even people in the coroner's office who may have been gotten to in order to say it publicly and to the press this way, to make it sound like they were implying pew-pew and by his own hand. You know, I wonder who has the power in England to influence what is written in the coroner's report regarding the very suspicious unaliving of this royal adjacent man, someone who was married in, someone who was blonde, like Prince William, someone who could have fathered children that would perhaps have coloring, like Prince William, someone who was certainly secure in those circles around at the social events during business hours and thereafter. And remember, everyone, how Prince William announced to the world that the reason he canceled his appearance at his godfather's funeral only 45 minutes before it was about to begin wasn't because of Thomas Kingston's unaliving. Why? That was a non sequitur. What would, especially in America, why would we assume that that had any connection to the unaliving of somebody married to a cousin who was like 54th in line for... It wouldn't have been relevant in our minds until he mentioned it and made it relevant. Freudian slip. He said this at a time when absolutely nobody was saying that his absence was due to that reason. He brought it up out of nowhere. He felt the need to cover that question immediately. And we still wonder why. Remember, too, that all of this happened during the time when William was blowing off work. I mean, yet another time William was blowing off work, showing up visibly swaying, perhaps under the influence, at least on a couple of public occasions. And he was obviously on the outs with several members of his family. All the while, Kate was missing, and the palace was telling blatant lies about the hospitalization, surgery, what later became known as cancer had been present, and preventative chemo. And again, a lot of that language fudged so that we thought and still think Kate Middleton had cancer, might have cancer. Same thing with King Charles. Cancer had been present. Preventative chemo is not the same as a cancer diagnosis. Still. But, you know, we support everyone's health journey. But there has been something very weird and bad going on with William and Kate at the same time that Kingston was unalived and in the ongoing aftermath of his unaliving. There's still something going on that's weird with them, where William looks like he was photoshopped into photos with that young cancer patient who came to the palace for photo op only. No questions, no answers, no public statements. Just a quick picture so that it would seem finally that Kate Middleton was involved in supporting, let's be generous and call it fellow cancer sufferers. The palace has been telling lie after lie to cover stuff up. What exactly have they been covering up, and why in October is this inquest about Thomas Kingston's unaliving still not finalized? Thomas Kingston's unaliving is related to all of this weirdness somehow. In my humble opinion, someone unalived Thomas Kingston. He was unalived from a catastrophic head wound, which wasn't a pew-pew wound. Because again, if it was a pew-pew wound, the coroner's report would have said so. Who unalived Thomas Kingston and why did they do it? The night before, he was partying at Highgrove with Prince William. The day after, somehow he's locked in a shed. He didn't lock himself in the shed, and he's got blunt force trauma to the head. People are suspicious. I'm suspicious. The inquest was adjourned, and we haven't seen the final coroner's report yet. The police claim there were no suspicious circumstances. How? A 45-year-old, blunt force trauma. It's not like he had a hemorrhage to the brain. It's not like he had an allergic reaction. It's not like he stepped on a rake and got a terrible concussion. It wasn't an accident, but they claim no suspicious circumstances. Really? Now the coroner has asked for an investigation into the prescription medication Thomas Kingston had begun to take prior to his unaliving to see if it could have had any bearing on his actions. Could it have had bearing on blunt force trauma to his skull? I doubt it. It looks like the inquest will be reconvened in December, when there's barely any time to finish it before the Christmas holidays. Maybe we'll know more then when the final report is given. Will it be given in 2024? I mean, the police are in the employ of the British state, so they gonna say whatever is expedient for country and crown. But we'll keep watching this space because it stays suspicious. None of this information seems final, reassuring, accurate, or fairly evaluated. It just seems like somebody's hand is on the scale. And they're bending these people, coroner, inquest, journalists, or rather columnists, to say what they want said. And in the meantime, where is Lady Gabriella? Where is Princess Michael of Kent, the racist? Where is Prince Michael of Kent, the one who's been on the take, allegedly, from Russia? Let me know what you think, stars.